I'm on the Chesterfield Canal. This is my very first visit to the canal and an exciting one. So this is a place called Staveley. It's at the end of the current restoration. As you can see right now, there's canal in water. And this is an area which has had a lot of work done in the past sort of decade, with a lot more work to come. So we come under this bridge and the first thing we see is Staveley Basin. This is a town basin and it's going to be moorings. This was constructed in 2011 and is part of a wider regeneration of this area. This area was heavy industry and railways, and if you look at this map now, you can see the tracks were everywhere, kind of on the other side over there. So the canal runs through here and goes to something called the Staveley Town Deal, which we'll go into as we go through the video. But let's just have a look here. Look, so you're going to have mooring all across there, boats coming out. You've got the winding hole there, I believe, and a little slipway to launch. You've got the lock just over there. There's going to be a building across the back here, and further development on sort of the land around here. I'm not sure when that's due to happen. I know there was some articles quite recently about the building going over there. It's a 2-storey one, so I think that's going to be quite soon. It looks very barren here at the moment, but the main thing is this basin and the associated works going on down below, which will help restore the canal back to the current restored section further down. So that building will be kind of on my side here now. Imagine all the narrow boats moored across here now. Boat trips running from here. There's people over there fishing at the moment. Lots of stuff happening over here. It's worth remembering that canals aren't just about the actual boats. They are about the nature. They are about getting people out and about into the outdoors. I know a lot of canal restorations. I know one that's worth 50 million to the local economy when it's open. It's a £364 million restoration, and that brings £350 million per year in health and wellbeing benefits to that area. So it doesn't take long to pay for itself. That's not this canal, but it's just a clue of what sort of happens when a canal gets restored. There's only 9 miles left to this one, which covers some difficult terrain. You've got to get through. There's quite a long tunnel that needs to be redone. The old one can't be used. There was a housing estate built further up as well, which built on the line despite a lot of objections. So they need to get round and drop in and out of a lake there with locks, which might be part of a river link as well. But here's the town lock, and what we're here to see is everything below here and what's happening. So I believe this lock was done at the same time as the basin. So I'll put the date as 2011. Don't see any dates on the actual gates themselves. Very modern build, brick. I'm not too sure if this is concrete on the top. And then you've got the bridge as well, which is the town lock bridge. So now we're going into obviously the bottom section. Now this is an area that's been held up quite significantly by HS2. Now HS2 isn't coming into Chesterfield, but they did plan to have a works depot up here. So there's an old line which we'll get into in a minute, and they were going to use that old line to come in. And on the other side where I said there were loads of railways previously, they were planning to build a works there. So so HS2 were across the canal just around this corner. So this summer, I think the contract runs out for it. So HS2 isn't an issue anymore, and they can continue with the works to bring the canal through. So the Staveley Town deal is a £25 million deal, and that takes the canal another half a mile from where we are behind us there, and takes us up to something called the puddlebanks, which will come on in a later video. This takes us through this area here. You've got the big new road bridge going across the top, and then you'll start to see work going on. Now this is an area absolutely crisscrossed with footpaths and old railway routes which are now cycle paths, and you've got the Pennine trail which runs across, and they need to keep that open. So part of this deal is to pay for a new bridge going across, and that's what we're here to see today. So this is the far end. This is where restoration currently stops. Like I said, half a mile is being done further on. That takes us almost to an aqueduct, and then you've got to go through several towns, and it's 9 miles of restoration to get back to the other side of the tunnel. So half a mile of that is quite a big section to just knock out straight away. Now this is the old railway that used to run up on the other side, I said, and you can see it was skew. So you've got the wall across here, and then the wall goes further back that way, and this is taking us up onto the trail, and the top railway line is going across the canal, and that's where the bridge is going to be. So you can see the line of the old railway down there, which is fenced off. Like I said, that was going to be HS2. And this is another railway going across the top, which like I said, is a Trans-Pennine trail. So you can see the contractor compound over the side there. That's O'Brien's, who were named contractors for this. And right here is where the bridge is going to go. So if you look down here, there's been a lot of clearance work done. You can see the trail goes in a dead straight line up there following the old railway track. And the canal is going to be in the bottom here. So if we go a bit further down, you'll be able to see a bit more. So from across there, you can see the big bridge we walked under. That's the canal coming through in a dead straight line. Across over there where you can see 2 cars parked. And that's the start of the Staveley puddlebanks. And the canal then winds off and goes towards an aqueduct up there. And it's a raised area of canal. And this deal takes us through the majority of that until you get to a sharp bend, and then that's the end of it. So it's not taking us to the aqueduct, it's taken us nearly though. And then there's plans in place for the aqueduct already, which will be on the next video. You can see the truck going up, and that will lead off the towpath, which will be down here somewhere. And that'll lead up to the trail. That path's going to go. So you have the bridge across us at the top here, and then access down to the towpath down here. So work was done to clear all of this during the sort of winter months when you're not going to disturb nesting. And although this looks very barren now, it's a major part of rewilding this area. So yeah, you lose some trees, that's sad, but by the time this is rewatered with a green and blue corridor all the way through, more planting done on the sides, canal all the way through, you're going to create a connected habitat which is going to be far better for biodiversity and the genetics for all the creatures that live in it, who can travel wider, breed with different populations, than it will be just to have isolated clusters of green area like we have now. But let's see what's going on. So we're going to meet the contractors now, and we're going to see the start of the ceremony to begin this bridge, which will hopefully be completed later in the year. From left to right, you've got Dr. Peter Hardy, who's the chair of the CCT. You've got Toby Perkins MP, Tricia Gilbert, who is leader of the Chesterfield Borough Council, Lee Rowley MP, and Tony Mitchell, who's the director of O'Brien's Contractors Limited. And here we've got Dr. Hardy putting a ceremonial spade in the ground for the project.
Yep, so basically where we're standing is we're standing on an old railway line that went over the canal, and the canal would have come through here, and then a little bit further up, just sort of 100 metres that way, there was a bridge that went over it. It was an old railway, another old railway. There's a lot of old railways in this area. There's an old railway went over it, and basically there's a bridge there that got demolished in the 70s. This ramp was built that brought people down. And basically we're now at the stage where we need to reverse all of that and bring the canal back through. So the first thing, the project that we're sort of kicking off today, is the building of the bridge over there. It's a big 38 metre span steel bridge. That'll be going in sort of August, September time, but in the interim we're basically going to be able to remove all of this ramp. So there's loads of footpath diversions going in at the moment. Get this ramp out of the way, then this gives them room to lay down the bridge and get it all ready for install. And then once that bridge is in, that gives us room to sort of bring clay. We've got a big stockpile of clay that a local landowner's donated that we're going to be putting into the big puddlebank earth embankment a bit further on. That's all going to come in through this site, so get this ramp out of the way, gives the room for the clay to go in. That'll all start to come in later on in the year, and then once we've done all the moving through here, then we can actually come back into this area and build the final canal in this area. So there's a lock to go in here, and that'll probably be built at some point next year, and that lock's going to be known as the Keith Ayling lock. So Keith Ayling was the chairman of the trust from 91 to 2009, something like that, I think. So he's an absolute stalwart of the restoration. You know, he's the reason why so much of this stuff happened, and this lock's going to be named in his legacy. So we've just launched our lock gate fund, the Keith Ayling lock gate fund for that. And I say that'll get built next year. Probably going to be trialling some fibre reinforced polymer gates on that lock, which is a new technology that's not really been tried on lock gates yet. So that'll be something new. If they work, they should last 100 years rather than 20 years for timber gates, which will be quite nice to try.
So as you can see, it's a very complex project with lots of bits and pieces to do before they can get the lock in and stuff like that. The puddle banks is just around the corner, which you'll see on a future video, and that's a very interesting build of a clay bank going through a field. So once that's got the clay through, they can then build the lock and build everything else that goes with it. The bridge should come this year though, and I hope to get up before that goes in, because they're going to prefabricate it from 3 pieces into one big piece in the bottom. So it'd be good to see that before it goes up as well. So please do leave your comments. I would love to know what you think about this project. It is one I would like to cover a lot more. So yeah, let me know and have a great day. Thank you very much.